and welcome to ET Garage. I want to thank everybody for being here, everybody that's subscribed, everybody watching my videos, all that good stuff. I'm not going to bore you with that. Today's video is going to be about this. Okay, if you're wondering why I'm changing the distributor, that one's worn. I rebuilt that motor over 50,000 miles ago, and that's been, if you don't know much about it, it's a 383. It has the large tube intake runners, mild cam headers, and usual small block Chevy stuff. But I never put a new distributor in it, and that shaft is worn. And I notice I'm getting some hard start problems. It's inconsistent, and I did the usual checks, checked everything, and I also upgraded the ignition recently with the Intellitronics multi-spark CD unit. I'll probably post a link at the end of this video to it if you need to see it. And I decided I'm going to break down and buy a new distributor, and this uses a computer-controlled HEI distributor. And the only one that's making a quality unit that I know out there, that from reading other firms, is Davis Unified Ignition. And they're about $300, and they're not available right now. Not according to Summit anyway. So there's a waiting. I think you got to wait till next year to get one. But I did a search on eBay, and there's one brand new in the box the guy's selling, and with the shipping, and which I think shipping was free, but I live here in PA, so we have to pay tax on any internet purchases. And this thing's actually covered with dust too, and it doesn't look like it was ever used. It came brand new in the box. I don't see any wear marks on the distributor, the gear drive for the that comes off the camshaft. The gear for it knits with the camshaft. The cap looks like new inside and out. That's how the coil looks on the outside. And there's absolutely no indication on the inside that this thing was ever used. And the cap is actually covered with dust. So I wonder if this thing was sitting like on a shelf somewhere out in a display or on a motor somewhere and just never got ran, because there is some like engine oil on it, but there's no sign of it ever being used. Cap isn't used, and all that stuff. To give you a little bit more information that I know about these, it comes with a different ignition module. This is for the computer-controlled HEIs, like on my Corvette, which means there's no mechanical or vacuum advance. It's all done via the computer. So the advance on the distributor is basically fixed. And the module, that basically controls your dwell. It has what they call the Dynamod module. Davis Unified, I guess that's just more dwell. It gives you better spark energy at higher RPM. It comes with their coil, which is supposed to be a lot more powerful. All that good stuff. Comes with the brass terminals on the cap and these little plastic screws, which aren't supposed to create arc and all that. The funny thing is, it comes with these Allen head screws that holds it on. 3 of them anyway, and then a regular normal screw on one of them. So I don't know if that's supposed to be that way. You can see someone scraped this cap. Maybe I did it when I took it off. I don't know. But it's no biggie. I guess the thing is to get that out. And I'll try and show you how I swap a distributor. And to me, the number one thing to do that whenever you swap a distributor out is to get your engine. So the number 1 cylinder is at top dead center, and the rotor is pointing to top dead center. And then I should be able to just drop this right in and everything will line up. In case you're not familiar with these type of distributors, most push rod engines that I know of, especially American push rod engines, they also don't just drive it. It's driven off the camshaft on small block Chevys, big block Chevys from their earlier eras, pre-LS, before engines became distributorless and went to coil packs. They also drove the oil pump. I got to blow this foam out of here. And they also drove the oil pump. So you have to be very careful when you put this in. If you get the distributor out of phase, it's no big deal. It'll either run real bad or not run at all. But if you don't get this lined up with the distributor or with the oil pump shaft, you're going to seize the motor due to the lack of oil pressure. So that's what's really important, getting that lined up and in. But anyway, I'm going to show you that here. I'll move the camera around and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, as you can see, I got the cap off, the wires disconnected, and as you can see, well, in case you don't know, this is not lined up with number one. Number one would be like right about there. So what I'm going to do is turn the key, bump the ignition, and before I turn the key and bump the ignition, I am going to disconnect this wire here. This plug here, and that is the power to the ECM. And the reason I'm doing that is I don't want the injectors pulsing, flooding the motor with fuel. And once I get that bumped all the way around again, I'm going to check the timing marks, make sure it's at top dead center and everything is lined up. So let me get going on that. Let's see how well I do. All right, I bumped the motor around, and now I got a 1/2-inch ratchet with a socket on the end of the harmonic balancer bolt. And I don't know if you can see down there real good, but there's a white timing mark I need to line up with top dead center, and I'll do that. Uh-oh, there goes the light. Get that around. And oh yeah, that's top dead center. Right there. Hopefully you guys can see all that. There we go. So, let me get this wrench out of here because I don't want to forget about that being in there when I crank the motor. And we'll get the distributor out. Alright, time to remove the distributor. And for people who don't know, who are with modern motors with coil packs and distributor ignitions, this is a distributor wrench, and it makes you don't necessarily need this. Depends on which motor you have. Like engines with the distributor up front, it's a lot easier. You can just probably get them with a regular wrench. I could even probably get down there with that regular wrench. Let me see if I can show you where it's at. But let's see, it is, and you can see on a Corvette how tight it is. Right there. I hope you guys can see that. Let me see if I can get some better light. Look, there it goes, of course. But hopefully I'll put it like a little arrow or something in here. Look, it's going to stay. Nothing works the way you want it to when you want it to. So it's just part of working on cars. And it goes on there like that. And there's a little clamp that holds it down. And the trick is to get this, depending on how long it's been on there. If you have a engine where the distributor has never been out, it's quite possible this sucker could be seized in. If it is, I feel sorry for you, because you're gonna have a hell of a time getting that sucker out. Okay, and as you can see, I don't have much room to work. I mean, if I had to, I could remove that one line and that has coolant in it, and I'll have to put the coolant and all that stuff. It's also very difficult to do while holding this camera. Let's see, this won't work. There we go. That's better. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but hopefully you can. And if I were putting the same distributor back in, I would mark the housing in line. So mark on the, I already have a mark, I think, somewhere down there. I'd have to look for it. So the housing lines up exactly with that. So here we go. Holding this camera and doing this at the same time is making it difficult. But I'm going to get it. There it goes. Definitely off now. Yeah, not the most precise way to do it, but it's working. Okay, let me, yeah, figures. Hopefully you guys can see that sucker down in there. That is it. And it is loose. Now you don't need to take it off all the way. You can reach down here and just get it loose enough. See if I can move that clamp. I might have to reach down there with a screwdriver. Now I'm going to have to get it a little looser. All right. See if that works. There's a clamp basically. There it goes. You just need to get it out of the way of the clamp. I don't know if I got that sucker. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. There it is. Okay, unstick the housing. And get the light out of the way. And now this sucker should lift off. Now when this lifts off, it's going to spin because of the way the helical gear. And that's the problem you're going to have when you put it back in. You should make a note where this is lined up. I know I need to get it lined up right around there, this bolt hole. And don't move the motor, whatever you do. Don't turn this motor over. Okay, there we go. And on a Corvette, it's tighter than most other cars. GM cars especially. And there's also this other plug that needs to be undone. I doubt I'm going to be able to do it. Let's see if I can do it or not. One-handed while holding the camera. Yep, put the camera down. And plug this wire. And distributor is... Yep, something's still holding it down here. Yep, I still got to do those other wires from the other side. Held tight. All right, it's out, and there it is. Hopefully you guys can see all that. Covered with oil, distributor gear, and I'm going to get this camera relocated so you can get a better view. So hold tight, and I'll do that. Hopefully you guys can see this good, but the other shaft didn't have any play in it. Noticeable. I didn't measure it with a dial gauge, but here you can see how much this is moving. I'm not sure what's acceptable, but there is play, and it actually feels like a lot looser than what it's displaying there on the dial gauge. So that's of course it's hard to get it. I'm not sure what's the acceptable, but there is a lot of play there, and this ain't really displaying the amount of play that's in it. There's actually quite a bit. Now I'm moving the whole thing, but tighten this down a little bit. If I actually tighten it down, it actually takes some of the play. If I tighten the vise down, it's squeezing the housing, and it's taking some of the play out. But to give you an idea, there's quite a bit of play in there, as far as I'm concerned. Probably shouldn't be more than 2.5 to 3 thousandths play. Or if you were to measure it with a bore gauge and then measure the shaft with a pair of with a micrometer. Probably shouldn't be more than maybe 2.5, 3 thousandths. I'm getting just back and forth. I'm getting way more than that, and you can feel it definitely moving around. So that's the reason I'm changing this out. Plus, all the components are really old in here. Some of this stuff you can't get anymore either. You can't get like, let's see, get this out of the way here. Move this over here. But like, this plastic part right here, you can't get anymore, I don't believe. I'm not sure they're selling these anymore. And these parts, I think you can get this, but you can't get that. So this is all broken. So I'm glad I'm replacing this. I should have done it a long time ago, even if this didn't have play. One thing that's really important is you want to make sure this gear is the correct one for your camshaft. If you have an aftermarket camshaft, check with the manufacturer what kind of gear to use. They have different ones. They have brass ones or bronze ones. They got the melanized gears like this one, and then I believe there's like a carbon type of gear or something like that. I don't know. I never used one of those, but if you don't have the right gear, something's going to wear really quick, and you don't want that. All right. Let me get back under the hood and show you something real quick. I can't remember if I mentioned it earlier in the video, but get this out of the way, and I'll show you that. All right, here we're back under the hood. This is that clamp I was talking about. Hopefully you guys can see that. Light if I can. And make sure this area is clean. It's probably a good idea to blow that out before you take the distributor out. Make sure that's clean. And I don't know if I could show you down in there, but I'm not going to go in there and move things around. If you're wondering how I'm keeping track of all the spark plugs, I have clothespins on them with the number corresponding to the spark plug that these wires go to, and we're on the distributor cap. And how I know all that is, got this off the internet and printed it out. You can see this is an old piece of paper. I probably should print out a new one, but that's it for a small block Chevy, unless you get one of these cams that changes your firing order. But that's how you know where everything goes. You can always look it up on the internet. I'm going to go fix that one wire that I pulled off. I'm also going to have to get the IntelliTronics book back, because if this was just the stock HEI setup, all I'd have to do is unplug the wires, plug them back in. They only go in one spot. Since I have that capacitive discharge multi-spark unit, I got all this extra funky wiring that I have to put in the correct place. So give me a few minutes. I'll drop the distributor back in and get it all wired up again, and then we'll set the timing and fire it up and set the timing and all that good stuff. Okay, here we are. Hopefully I got the camera set up so you can see it good. I'm going to go ahead and start dropping the distributor in. First thing I want to do is hook up this wire. That's going in good. And I always felt GM had way too much wire for that, but I could shorten it, I guess, if I really wanted to. I'm not going to. My main concern is getting this in. All right. You drop it in. Make sure you got your little, there's a little gasket that goes in there. And boom. I believe that's pretty close. Don't feel like it's sitting in there right. Something don't feel right there. I feel like it's dropped in all the way, but it don't feel right. Nope, it's definitely not lined up right. And the reason I can tell is it's not dropping in all the way. So I'm going to come up, back off a tooth, like that. And now it's definitely in all the way. Okay. that should be it. I should have everything lined up close enough. Like this is still at number 1 when I put the cap on. And this is lined up where I want it. So it should be close enough to get it started. I'm going to go, normally, like I said, if this was a stock HEI, you would just put the cap on, plug this in, plug those wires back in, and you're good to go. I'm going to have to do it differently because of the passive discharge unit I have, but I'm not going to go show you that. I'm just going to go ahead, tighten up that clamp. Now, I don't need to tighten it real tight, but I do need to get the clamp over the top. If I can, sometimes you might have to loosen up the bolt some more. Yeah, of course it's going to be a pain. Yep. Anyway, like I said, let me get the cap on and all that stuff, wiring wired up, and then the cap on, and then we'll get into doing that. But what's important is you make sure this is seated all the way down on the intake manifold. Then you get that clamp on, get it snug. You don't want it tight. You want to be able to turn the distributor, but you want it snug. So let me do that. Of course, it's never easy. Okay, I'm about ready to finish this up. I got the EST wire disconnected. You only need to worry about an EST wire if you have electronic, if your timing is electronically controlled on GM vehicles. Other vehicles that have electronic timing control on the distributor, I'm not familiar with. But GM, you want to disconnect that. You're supposed to warm it up first, then disconnect it, then set your timing. Not sure if I got the timing dead on, so it probably will not start the first time I crank it. I might have to nudge the distributor one way or the other. I know it's close, so if one way doesn't get it started, I'll go back the other way and start it. Better way would be to flash the light while someone cranks the car, or if I have a remote starter button. I don't have someone here to help me. I don't have a remote starter button, so we're just going to have to do it that way. Let me open the door and we'll see if the sucker will start. Okay, it started right up. I am not able to check the timing because my timing light is not working. I don't know if the Xeon bulb in it died or what, but it's not working. I know the pickup is working because I can read the RPM. This reads RPM and flashes, so I guess the light burnt out. I am going to have to get a new one. And check the timing. The way it seems, it's close. It did start right up. I noticed a little surging. That could be from a vacuum leak or something. I'll have to check it. And, well, I'm going to end the video here. And I'll have to run out and get a new timing light or order one online. I'll probably run out and get one. Someone local should have one, either Napa or one of the auto parts store. Anyway, I hope this was helpful in some way. I guess just watch future videos to see how this worked out. I'm going to end it here, like I said. And everybody have a great day. God bless.